Ashbrook, let me ask you something. I love Tom Homan. He's literally my favorite administration official. But he's not going to do anything that President Trump doesn't want him to do. So that's the question, because he kind of goes in there right now slightly hobbled, given the mess that's there. And it's no accident that he pulled Kristi Noem and he pulled Bovino, head of the Border Patrol. And then there was initially a couple of reports suggesting they were about to be turfed out, that Bovino's now retiring, that Kristi Noem could not be potentially not long for her role, that she had a several-hour meeting with Trump at her request on Monday. She was not happy. She was being pulled. She realized what it would look like. And I don't know whether that's true. I believe it's not true that Kristi Noem's job is in danger. I don't know about Bovino. Now there are some reports that it was more this guy right above him, in between him and Kristi Noem, named Rodney Scott, who may have kind of put out bad information on him because there's some sort of a turf war going on. I don't know. But the point is, it doesn't look great. It certainly doesn't look like Trump is endorsing what Noem and Bovino were doing in Minneapolis. So now Homan goes in. What is he actually going to be empowered to do? That's the question. No more than President Trump wants.
Well, he doesn't do the whiz bang, right? He just makes it happen. There's no photo ops. There's no, sort of show of force. It's just a matter of doing your job, which I do think is appropriate in this thing. The other thing that I would just say is look, there are 49 other states. And more importantly, there are a lot of other blue states. Minnesota is not the epicenter of illegal immigration. Far from it.
Wow, I bet it is. Who would have guessed? The guy from Minnesota is let up the gas. It's from the billions and billions of dollars that have been stolen. I don't think sending Tom Homan is enough. I think we should be sending the military. This is a state where the governor has said, I have ordered law enforcement not to cooperate with the government officials, and has essentially legalized crime, has said that earlier that he feels he's at war with Trump. I am so pleased that Trump has been able to get Walz to let the police prevent rioters from killing ICE agents. I mean, that's just the bare minimum. Thank God that is happening.
That was big progress.
No.
That's another headline from last night. Trump and Walz spoke, and Walz has now finally agreed to let the police intervene when ICE officers are under attack or when it's an obvious breaking of the law. And it happened last night where once again they surrounded a hotel that they thought ICE officers, they thought Bovino was at, and behaved lawlessly, and the local cops finally came. We went from the night before with that one federal officer saying, "Where are the local cops?" bleeding out of his nose and his mouth. They weren't there. To the next night, thanks to the Trump-Walz phone call, the local cops showed up. They said, disperse or you're going to be arrested. The ones who dispersed weren't arrested, and the ones who refused were. So that is progress. Here's video of the protests outside of that hotel, which got very rowdy, and thankfully the cops did what they should have been doing. So yes, you're right, Smug. Good. That was a good result out of that phone call. Keep going.
Yeah, no, I made the mistake of trying to make an intellectual point here, which was that in Minnesota, you have
offense taken.
You have a relatively small group of problems here, both from a protester side and from an illegal immigration side. What happens when you go to California? What happens? Do you think that a governor who's running for president against this administration in particular is going to have any different reaction than Tim Walz does? No, of course not. Because there's all of the mayhem, and all of it is political incentive on his front. And there is, I don't know, roughly 75x, maybe 150x the problem on each segment of that state than there is in Minnesota. What happens when you go to the upper Northeast, Boston? What happens when you go, literally any blue state? You're going to have this problem. And the point is, if you're interested in trying to solve it, you have to figure out how to scale it. You can't spend 6 weeks in trench warfare here. And I think the administration has done everything that they should be doing. You've encountered the lengths of which the far left is willing to go to try to stop it. I think it's strategically important that Tom Homan and everybody else think about this in terms of how you can actually fulfill the campaign promises of 2024 versus just making a national debate for 6 weeks over and over and over again. Or the alternative is to stop, which I think is your problem, Duncan.
Yeah.
And I agree with that entirely. There's a mandate here. You got to figure out how to do it. It doesn't mean that you're just going to roll tanks Like, you've got to figure out how to do it.
I will say one thing about Minnesota that hopefully is unique to Minnesota is it feels like a lot of the elected Democrats have a vested interest in allowing the crime to continue. We learned from the New York Times, of all places, that it was Biden's Department of Justice which opened an investigation into Ilhan Omar and how she got all this money all of a sudden. So the kind of pushback that we're seeing from people like Keith Ellison, we've noted on the program, why is it that both of the last two chairmen of the DNC are from Minnesota? Seems like that state's really punching above its weight class unless they've got access to money somehow that the Democrats love. There's a lot that makes Minnesota unique in this situation, but it feels like they're getting so much pushback. The federal officials are at least getting so much pushback from the local Dems because it seems like there's a lot of money there for the Democrats that they count on.
You know, the other
point.
Democrats around this country who are as unscrupulous as Tim Walz are watching Tim Walz on the main stage acting for these foreign billionaires who fund Democrat politics, and they want the exact same access to the exact same money so that they can be competitive heading into 2028. Whether or not they're going to be the main candidate or whether they're going to be some sort of cabinet official or something, these Democrats are going to compete to be the worst of the worst in the eyes of your average normal person.
Yeah, it's to me, it's just so disheartening because these are the latest numbers. This is from Department of Homeland Security on January 20th. They say nearly 3 million illegals are out of the country. DHS has removed more than 675,000, and they estimate 2.2 million have self-deported. Okay, they're obviously going to go with the most generous numbers. Let's assume that's true. We have, 17 million to go?
Exactly.
Let's use the lowest numbers. If they say it's 11. Okay, we have 8 million to go. We're just never going to get there at this rate. A new year means new financial goals, like making sure your savings are secure and diversified. Will this be the year you decide to talk to someone from Birch Gold Group? They use an educational approach with a deep understanding of macroeconomics. There are forces pushing the dollar lower and gold higher, which is why they believe every American should own physical gold. So until January 30th, if you're a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. To claim eligibility and start the process, just text MK to the number 989898. Birch Gold can help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and you are still eligible for a rebate of up to $10,000. Consider making right now your first time to buy gold and take advantage of a rebate up to $10,000 when you buy by January 30th. Text MK to the number 989898. Claim your eligibility today. Again, just text MK to the number 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.